Did you know Justinian's Code, a 6th century legal text, had rules for everything? Even what to do if someone's bear escaped and caused chaos? This wasn't just a book of lofty ideals. It was a practical manual for real life, from property disputes to wild animals on the streets of Constantinople. Justinian's Code, or the Corpus Juris Civilis, was a massive effort to untangle 1,000 years of Roman laws and contradictions. Emperor Justinian I wanted a single, unified legal system to bring order and reinforce his power. Remarkably, this legal time capsule survived and became the foundation for most of Europe's legal systems, influencing laws worldwide. Concepts like innocent until proven guilty and the distinction between public and private law trace back to this code. Understanding Justinian's Code is like discovering the blueprint for modern justice. It explains why our legal systems work the way they do, and reminds us that the quest for justice is ancient and ongoing. So, next time you hear about a strange old law, remember, it's part of a much bigger story. To understand the code, you need to know Justinian I, a peasant's nephew who rose to become emperor in 527 CE. He dreamed of restoring Rome's glory, launching costly wars to reclaim lost territories, but his true legacy wasn't on the battlefield. Justinian was also a builder, transforming Constantinople with projects like the Hagia Sophia, a symbol of Christian faith and imperial power. But his greatest ambition was unity, a single empire, a single faith, and a single law. He saw himself as God's regent, responsible for both the souls and order of his people. For Justinian, a confusing legal system was chaos, an offense against divine order. By clarifying the law, he believed he was fulfilling a sacred duty. This vision fueled the creation of the Corpus Juris Civilis. Justinian wanted to be remembered for eternity, and he knew a lasting legal framework would outlive any monument. In the end, his laws shaped the world far more than his armies ever could. His reign is proof that ideas can outlast empires. That's the man behind the code. Before Justinian, Roman law was a confusing mess. Thousands of decrees, opinions, and contradictions piled up over centuries. Judges and lawyers had to dig through mountains of scrolls, making justice slow, expensive, and unpredictable. The wealthy could exploit this chaos, hiring experts to find obscure laws in their favor. Contradictory rulings and outdated statutes made the system unfair and unstable. Attempts to patch things up, like the law of citations, only highlighted the need for a complete overhaul. This legal confusion threatened the empire's stability, commerce, and public trust. Justinian saw that a clear, consistent, and accessible legal system was essential for unity and power. He set out to sweep away centuries of clutter and create a single, authoritative source of law. This was more than reform. It was a revolution in how law could serve society. The task was monumental, but Justinian's vision was clear. Law should bring order, not confusion. That's why the code was needed. In 528 CE, Justinian appointed a team led by Tribonian to overhaul the empire's laws. Their first achievement was the Codex Justinianus, a single, organized volume of all valid imperial laws. Next came the Digest, or Pandex, a curated collection of the best legal thinking from Rome's greatest jurists, condensed from millions of lines into 50 books. The institutes followed, a clear, systematic textbook for new law students, ensuring everyone learned the same principles. Finally, the Novellae, or New Laws, collected Justinian's own legal updates after the main compilation. Together, these 4 parts, Code, Digest, Institutes, and Novellae, formed the Corpus Juris Civilis. This wasn't just legal tidying, it was a complete transformation, making law logical, accessible, and unified. The project preserved Rome's legal wisdom and set a new standard for legal systems everywhere. Justinian's commission didn't just clean up the past, they built a foundation for the future. The Corpus Juris Civilis became the model for legal codes for centuries to come. It's the reason we still talk about Roman law today. 4 parts, 1 legal revolution. That's Justinian's masterpiece. The Codex was the empire's new rule book, One law for all, everywhere. By collecting every valid imperial edict, Justinian made the law accessible and equal, ending the era of legal loopholes and forgotten statutes. The code covered everything: government, crime, taxes, contracts, property, and even the church. Its logical organization made it easy to find the law you needed. No more sifting through chaos. The code also established the emperor as the sole source of law. What pleases the prince has the force of law. This centralized power, but it also created legal certainty and unity. Yet the code wasn't just about authority, it preserved humane principles, like protections for the vulnerable and the idea that guilt is personal. It even hinted at concepts we value today, such as the natural rights of individuals. The Codex was both autocratic and progressive, a complex document for a complex world. It set a new standard for what a legal system could be. One law, one empire, one vision. The Digest was the heart of the project, a vast library of legal reasoning from Rome's greatest minds. Tribonian's team distilled centuries of legal thought into a single, organized collection, preserving the why behind the rules. Here we find Ulpian's famous definition: justice is the constant and perpetual will to render to each his due. The Digest made law a subject of rational inquiry, not just obedience. For beginners, the institutes offered a clear, government-issued textbook, laying out the basics of Roman law in logical order. This standardized legal education across the empire, ensuring everyone spoke the same legal language. Justinian wasn't just fixing laws, he was building a system for the future. By unifying legal education, he created a living tradition, passed down through generations. The Corpus Juris Civilis became more than a book. It became the backbone of a legal culture. Wisdom, education, and unity. This was Justinian's real legacy. The law became a living tradition. After Justinian's death, his code lived on in the East, but faded in the West, until its dramatic rediscovery in 11th century Italy. Scholars at the University of Bologna found the Digest and were amazed by its depth and logic. They became the glossators, writing notes and commentaries to explain and adapt Roman law for their own time. Their work revived Roman legal principles across Europe, creating a shared legal language known as the. Students trained in Bologna spread these ideas as judges and advisors throughout the continent. The code's influence seeped into local laws, transforming Europe's legal landscape. Justinian's Code, once nearly forgotten, became the intellectual foundation of a new European order. The revival bridged the ancient and medieval worlds, making Roman law relevant again. This academic movement ensured the code's survival and spread. The Corpus Juris Civilis had traveled through time, shaping law for centuries. Its journey is a testament to the power of ideas. How does a 6th century law book shape our world today? Through the civil law tradition, which dominates most of continental Europe. Countries like France, Germany, and Spain rely on comprehensive legal codes, a direct legacy of Justinian's project. The Napoleonic Code, inspired by the Corpus Juris Civilis, spread these ideas across Europe and beyond. Even in places like Latin America and Asia, echoes of Justinian's Code can be found. Common law countries like the US and UK also absorbed Roman legal concepts, especially in contracts, property, and torts. The distinction between possession and ownership, for example, comes straight from Roman jurists. International law, too, draws on the principles preserved by Justinian's Code. When nations negotiate treaties or settle disputes, they often use concepts forged in ancient Constantinople. Justinian's legal vision became a global toolkit for justice. His code is still present, shaping the rules that govern our world. The ghost of Justinian lives on in every modern courtroom. It's astonishing that Justinian's Code still matters in a world of internet and global corporations. The questions it tackled, justice, rights, citizenship, are still with us. Its real legacy isn't in specific laws, but in the idea that law should be systematic, rational, and just. The code made law a scholarly discipline, preserving wisdom that would have been lost. It reminds us that legal systems are living, shaped by debate and reform. Every generation must engage with and adapt the law. Justinian's project was a massive reform, and that process continues today. The law is a living conversation, and the code is one of its most important voices. So next time you hear a legal debate, remember the long shadow of Justinian. Thanks for watching, and keep exploring the stories that shape our world.